So this is my sand miller, and yes, it is a cement mixer, and yes, it does look like it's upside down because I've actually bolted it to the ceiling. Well, say bolted, that end's bolted and that end just fits on some brackets I made up, so it does jump about a bit, but there you go. The motor I just literally unbolted, it was only 2 bolts, spun it round so it's the correct way up. I think I had to remount the switch on the other side, remember correctly. Yes, I did. Yeah, there's a hole on the other side, so I had to put a new hole in and remount that, but that's, you know. Other than that, it's cheap Chinese import cement mixer. I can't remember what the capacity was. It wasn't large, it wasn't the largest capacity you could get. Basically I just calculated how much I needed to run up at least half of my largest flasks, because it's so easy to chuck some more in, mull it up, it doesn't take long. And basically there's no paddles in it like you get a normal cement mixer. And if I just turn it round, you can just see. There you go. Just a standard cement mixer with the ring gear. Probably could do with some oil on it actually. I might squirt some oil on it now. But yeah, so that is basically it really. You can see in there that not a great deal sticks to the side of the walls, and that is due to the chain. Let me just dig the chain out. Right, I've got the ball and chain out, and I'm not talking about the wife. The chain is just a single loop which I've got bolted together just there, just a nut bolt for it really, and I've done that because I found just as a single chain it kept tying itself in knots, so I thought about cutting it up into sections, but I thought, oh well, before I do it I'll just bolt it up and see if that stops it. And amazingly, despite the length of the chain still, I mean, it's got to be, oh, I don't know, I'll just hold it up. Yeah, there's about 8 foot of chain there, I reckon. And the double length goes 4 foot, so, you know, you've got double the length of it. But it doesn't tie itself in knots. And I don't know why. You'd think that would still be capable of tying itself in a knot, but it doesn't. Now there's the sphere. Right. It's filled with primarily lead. There's probably a bit of zinc in there. It's old wheel weights, but majority of that is lead. So it is bloody heavy. I did weigh it once upon a time, and I can't remember what it is, but I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to do calculations. Well, it's not that hard to do some calculations. I'll try, and based on lead, I'll do some calculations online. I haven't got a weighing scales out here. It's 6 inches, 15 centimetres, or 15 centimetres across, 150 mil, and it's full up. Basically, it was just a garden decorative stainless steel polished sphere. It's not polished anymore, and I just drilled a hole in it, as you can see, and filled it up. And that is basically the bit that does the work. You could put 2 in there, but I don't think it's necessary, not in this size drum. So this is what does the crushing and bashing. And you see on the bits of footage, it does bounce about, and normally there's a plate which covers it up. There it is. This plate I normally put on the front. Scoop written on the front of it to remind me not to leave the scoop in there. Invariably I do. My aluminium one, which has already been repaired. John Mills done that for me. Broke again. It's now in 2 pieces. I've got a plastic one at the moment. I think that's the second plastic one because I broke the last one. But so that just clips on the front. The little tags go on the lip of the drum, and the springs either side just latch in behind this little lip. So with that on, you don't get much sand come out. You do get a little bit every now and then because sometimes this does bash slightly into the board. It never actually wants to come out, but you know, sometimes it does bash into it a little bit. But without the drum on, as I think you see in a bit of footage, so the sand builds up and gets a bit of a rolling lip around this edge here, and sometimes the sand can get big enough to fall out. Well, with the board on, it stops that, and it inevitably gets bashed again by the sphere, and then gets crushed and broken up again. So the 3 things, the sphere done a good job on its own, but I found that the sand tried sticking to the drum wall as it get continually compacted. So the chain, it helps break it up, but the chain flailing around, as that gets compacted into the sand, the weight of the chain pulls it back off the drum and keeps it stirring on its own. And with the cover as well, keeping it all contained, it just helps. And I should think it probably does about a 98% mulling job, I'd say, which is good enough, really. Every now and then, some sand that's burnt goes in there and you'll get a little nugget come out. But other than that, it does a pretty good job. My sand itself, oil bonded, and it's well burnt now. It does get gradually replaced. I've always got about 50 kilograms in stock of fresh sand. Well, there you go. That's fresh, unused sand. The smell is so different. This stuff smells quite sweet, almost plasticine-y like. If everybody knows what plasticine is, that's the kind of smell it is. This is obviously burnt cinder dust now, but it still keeps on working. It just gets gradually thrown out as I always dust off as much as I can of the burnt sand and discard that, and I just gradually replace it with that. And sometimes I have to use this on a casting that's got really nasty little bits and pieces, because this really does bond very well. The oil. This is just an old oil can that I refurbished. It's probably got to be knocking 100 years old, maybe. Right, the oil itself is a proper foundry rejuvenating oil for oil bonded sand. Having got it, it reminded me very, very, very much of chainsaw oil. It's quite thick and sticky. Obviously, there are no chemicals are added into it. It's just a plain mineral oil. And I can just pour some out in the light. You can see, I mean, it's quite cold out here, but you can see how treacle-like it is. I just add some to a mix every now and then, probably about every third or fourth mix that I do. I just treacle a little bit in there, and that seems to work right for me. So there we go. You've seen this is just the drum that I keep underneath my bench. It's a converted oil drum. It's got 4 little caster wheels on it that all turn independently, so it just makes it very manoeuvrable. And you know, it's just an oil drum. I've just cut it off where the lip flares out, and it just sits under my bench. And I've got 2 of them. Little handle on the front so I can put it out. And there's my other one under there. Right, the work area itself isn't too big. I'm not going to show you to the left hand side because it's absolutely minging with crap and rubbish and God knows what. I try and be tidy, but it does prove a little bit difficult sometimes. But that's my work area. The middle or above, and we can see pretty much where I do most of the moulding there. And I have a little fence. In fact, all the fences fit onto the top the same way. And I have these stud bolts. They originally were actually Audi airbag bolts. They hold the airbags in place on the steering wheels. You're meant to replace them every single time you take an airbag off. So in my Audi days, I acquired quite a lot of them. But got these holes drilled in. I've got 3 of them for each this side, and they just line up. Sits upright, shoved down in the holes, nice and tight. And you can see how rigid that is. It's really quite solid. And that just gives me a border. And of course, when I want to take it out, got my little handles on the inside. Just put up on them. Fit it what to do one end, and out it comes. And just to stop sand going down in the holes, I've got just some plugs I just put in there. That's my selection of parting stuff, parting powder bag, and a couple of brushes. Quite a soft paintbrush, that one. And a couple of makeup glasses, lovely pink colour. I thought they matched my feminine side. No comments, please. I've got round flask there. Got my stereo speakers, so I just plug into my phone, listen to some music. So I've got no radio reception here. Big into London Grammar at the moment. They've just got a new album out, so I listen to them a lot. My rammer, I've got an air rammer which I brought with me from the last place, but I haven't rigged it up, and I don't know if I will actually. It's a bloody great thing. A few bits of copper pipe, and I was inside some old moulds over there. Tools, selection of tools and bits and pieces here. Paint knives, use them quite a lot, very useful, cheap as chips. I think this was a seeding tool, I think, a couple of them. The spanner that I use for just tapping the moulds, it's a gas tank spanner, I think, that I've just put a kink on just to make it work a little bit better for me, and it does, works really well that. So there we go.